Well, look at this one here. We've got a quadratic inequality, right? It's quadratic because I got a squared term here. So we want to solve this. Now, here's the way we're going to do this. We're going to use factoring. So I need to get everything on one side, all the numbers on one side, 0 on the other. So let's do that first. Let's subtract the 6. So we'll start here. X squared minus 5x minus 6 strictly greater than 0. So let's factor. We'll write our two parentheses, anticipating we can factor it. Don't forget the greater than 0. We'll have x and x. Now for that 6, do you want to use a 3 and a 2 or a 6 and a 1? Well, it turns out to be a 6 and a 1 minus 6 plus 1. We need to talk about critical values now. So critical values, these are values that produce 0 here. And they're critical when we try to describe the behavior of this. So we've got this relation up here. We want to describe its behavior. The critical values are values that produce 0, and they are really critical in describing the behavior. And here's how we get them. Just imagine this was equal to 0. What would you put here? If this was an equation, you would be writing what? You would be writing x equals 6 and negative 1. So the critical values here are x equals 6 and negative 1. I'll circle those. Now up top here, I'm going to draw a number line and label it x, and I'm going to mark down my critical values. I've got one at negative 1 and one at 6, and I'm drawing open circles, right, because we have a strict inequality. So now we've got our number line on which we've put our critical values. So what happens now is this. These are like cutoff points where the solutions are and are not going to be. So we can have solutions in this interval and or this interval and or this interval. We just have to determine which intervals are going to work for us. So look what we have here. Back over here. I'm going to come way back over here. Here's what I want. I'm multiplying two numbers together and I'm getting a positive number. So I have to pick x values that are going to make this thing give me a positive number. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back over here, and in each one of these intervals, we're going to choose a test value. And the way this works is you just choose one number in here, any number at all, and if it works for one number, it works for all of them. There's a theorem that says that. We're not going to prove it. But if you choose a number, and if the number makes this true, if the number makes this true, then it works for all the numbers and you can shade that region. If the number you choose here does not work, that means you get a false statement here, then none of them work and you don't shade that region. So let's try this. Let's just try a number here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to test, just pick a number, don't get crazy here, just pick some number over here like negative 2. Now if I take that negative 2 and put it back here and here, what do you get? So if I put negative 2 in here, I get negative 2 minus 6. Now I don't care what number it is, I just want to look at the sign. All I'm concerned is this. Positive times positive is positive, negative times negative is positive. So just look at the sign. Take negative 2, put it back in here. Is it positive or negative? Negative 2 minus 6 is negative. So I could write a negative, and I'll do it right up there. And then what about in this one? If you put a negative 2 here, negative 2 plus 1 is negative, so that would be negative also. And then what do you get? Negative times negative, sure enough, that's a positive. And that's what we're looking for, right? We want this times this to be greater than 0, or positive, right? So we have solutions down here. So all the points down here are going to be solutions. Now, let's test a point in this interval, like a nice easy point to check. Check at any one of them, and any number between negative 1 and 6. I think an easy one to choose here is 0. So if I chose 0, now take that 0 and put it back into our factored form. If I put 0 here, I get a negative. And if I put that 0 here, I get a positive, right? 0 plus 1 is positive. And then what are we looking at? A negative times a positive, right? That's this one here, right? A negative times a positive. Well, that's negative, so that's a false statement right there. So, right, this is negative. So this was true over here. This is false here, so no solutions there. So I don't shade that region at all. Now let's check this region over here. Pick a number, any number bigger than 6, like maybe 7. And if you take that 7 and put it back into this expression here, 7 minus 6 is positive, 7 plus 1 is positive. So both these factors are positive. So I'd get a positive times the positive, which surely is positive. And what is that? Positive times positive is positive. What have I got? Positive greater than 0? Yeah, it's true. So I get a true statement right here. And that gives me solutions over here. So I get solutions here. So all in all, where are the solutions? So the solutions are from negative infinity all the way up to negative 1. Nothing in here. And then from 6 all the way out to infinity. So I'll say it like this. We're going to go from negative infinity all the way to negative 1, but not include negative 1, or, right, our union sign, or they could be out here, not including 6, but just above 6, all the way out to infinity. Or if you like, we could just write this like this. X is strictly less than negative 1, or X is strictly greater than 6. Either one will work.